After 60, your joints stiffen faster than you think, and the difference between moving freely at 75 and struggling to climb stairs often comes down to one simple habit most people ignore until it's too late. Right now in Japan, thousands of men and women in their 80s and 90s are walking mountains, gardening for hours, and playing with great-grandchildren without pain or assistive devices. And the secret isn't genetics or expensive treatments. It's a single 5-minute movement practice they do every single morning before breakfast. A practice so effective that researchers tracking mobility in older adults found those who did it daily had joint flexibility scores matching people 15 years younger. The shocking part? This movement was designed centuries ago by monks who needed to stay mobile into extreme old age without access to modern medicine. And today, physical therapists across Japan prescribe it before considering surgery or drugs for knee and hip problems in seniors. Here's what almost no one tells you. The standard advice you hear, walk more, stretch a little, maybe try yoga, misses the single biggest reason people over 60 lose mobility. It's not weak muscles and it's not arthritis alone. It's the loss of something called proprioception, your body's ability to sense where your joints are in space and coordinate movement without thinking. After 60, proprioception drops fast, which is why you might feel unsteady on uneven ground or catch your toe on a curb you swear you saw. This decline happens silently. No pain, no warning, just a gradual loss of confidence in your own body. The Japanese movement I'm about to show you rebuilds proprioception. At the same time, it lubricates joints and strengthens the tiny stabilizer muscles that keep you balanced. And it does all three in one flowing sequence that takes less time than brewing coffee. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now with your age and the one movement you wish was easier, whether that's getting up from the floor, reaching overhead, or just walking without stiffness. Knowing where you're starting helps me tailor future guidance to what seniors actually need. Now, here's the structure. I'm going to walk you through the complete Japanese anti-aging movement, break down exactly why it works when Western exercises often don't, show you 3 modifications based on your current mobility, then give you the daily protocol that locks in results. After that, I'll share 2 massive mistakes people make that turn a healing practice into a joint-damaging one. And finally, I'll reveal the one surprising addition that Japanese seniors use to double the longevity benefit in the same 5 minutes. By the end, you'll have a morning routine that addresses the root cause of age-related immobility instead of just masking symptoms. Let's start with what this movement actually is. The Japanese call it radio taiso, which translates to radio calisthenics, but that name undersells what's happening. Radio taiso is a precise sequence of 13 movements performed in a specific order, each one designed to take a major joint through its full range of motion while you stay balanced on your feet. It was introduced in Japan in 1928 and broadcast on national radio every morning so factory workers and office employees could stay mobile despite repetitive jobs. What made it different from Western calisthenics was the focus on circular movements and weight shifts instead of forceful stretching or high impact. You're not pulling or straining. You're teaching your body to move smoothly through space the way it did when you were younger, and you're doing it in a way that pumps fresh synovial fluid into every joint. Here's why that matters after 60. Synovial fluid is the slippery liquid inside your knees, hips, shoulders, and spine that keeps cartilage healthy and movement pain-free. Your body produces it in response to gentle motion. But if you sit most of the day or only do straight-line walking, large parts of your joints never get circulated. The cartilage dries out, inflammation creeps in, and suddenly bending or twisting hurts. Radio taiso moves every major joint in multiple directions within 5 minutes, which means you're flushing stale fluid out and drawing fresh nutrition in before your body even fully wakes up. Research from Japanese universities tracking seniors who did radio taiso daily for 6 months found significant improvements in knee extension, hip rotation, and shoulder mobility compared to controls who just walked. And the radio taiso group reported less joint pain, even though they weren't taking new medications. Let me tell you about Margaret, 72. a retired librarian from Oregon who spent decades sitting at a desk and developed what her doctor called moderate osteoarthritis in both knees. She was told to lose weight, take anti-inflammatories, and consider injections if it got worse. A friend who'd lived in Japan taught her radio taiso, and Margaret started doing it every morning in her kitchen, 5 minutes before breakfast. Within 3 weeks, she noticed her knees felt less stiff when she got out of bed. Within 2 months, she was walking her neighborhood loop without the aching throb that used to start halfway through. 6 months later, her doctor was surprised to see her knee range of motion had improved on measurement, something he said rarely happened without physical therapy. Margaret didn't add weight training or change her diet in that period. She just moved her joints in full circles every single day and let her body remember what healthy movement felt like. Now, let's break down the movement itself so you can start tomorrow. Radio Taiso has multiple versions, but the most beneficial for seniors is the first sequence, Radio Taiso Dai Ichi. You'll do 13 exercises in order, each one flowing into the next, and the whole thing takes about 5 minutes once you learn it. Don't worry if you can't do every movement perfectly at first. The goal is smooth motion, not perfect form, and I'll show you modifications in a moment. You start standing with feet shoulder-width apart, arms relaxed at your sides. The first movement is arm swings. You lift both arms forward and up over your head, stretching tall, then swing them back down and behind your body, leaning slightly forward as your arms go back. You repeat this 8 times in a steady rhythm. The key here is to keep your shoulders relaxed and let momentum help you instead of forcing the range. This warms up your shoulder joints and starts pumping blood into your upper body. Next is arm crossovers with a twist. You open your arms wide to the sides at shoulder height, then cross them in front of your chest while rotating your torso left. Open again, cross, rotate right. 8 times total, alternating sides. This movement works your thoracic spine, the part of your back that gets stiff from sitting and makes turning to look over your shoulder difficult. Most seniors lose rotation here first, and this simple twist keeps it alive. Third is arm circles with a squat. You raise your arms to the sides and make big circles, 4 forward and 4 backward, while bending your knees slightly in rhythm with the circles. This is where proprioception training begins because you're coordinating upper and lower body movement at the same time, which forces your brain to pay attention to balance and position. If your knees hurt, make the squat shallower or skip it and just do the arm circles. Fourth is chest expansion. You bring your arms forward, then pull your elbows back, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Then reach your arms up overhead and stretch. You do this 4 times. It opens the front of your chest, which gets tight from slouching, and strengthens the muscles between your shoulder blades that hold you upright. Fifth is side bends. You raise your left arm overhead and bend your torso to the right, feeling a stretch along your left side, then switch. 4 times each side. This keeps your spine flexible in lateral movement, which you need for reaching into cabinets or adjusting your position in a chair without twisting awkwardly. Sixth is torso twists with arm swings. You twist your upper body left and let your arms swing naturally, then twist right. 8 times, building a rhythm. Your feet stay planted and your hips stay mostly still, so all the rotation comes from your mid-back. This is critical for everyday tasks like getting dressed or reaching into the back seat of a car. Seventh is forward bends. You reach your arms up, then hinge forward at the hips and reach toward the floor, bending your knees as much as you need to. You come back up and reach overhead again, 4 times. This mobilizes your hips and lower back without straining. If touching the floor is impossible, just reach toward your shins or knees. The act of hinging and returning is what matters. Eighth is leg swings. You stand on your right leg and swing your left leg forward and back, keeping your torso upright and using a wall or chair for balance if needed. 8 swings, then switch legs. This challenges your standing balance and moves your hip joint through its full range, which is exactly what prevents that shuffling gait so many seniors develop. Ninth is lunges with a twist. You step your right foot forward into a shallow lunge and twist your torso to the right, then step back and repeat on the left. 4 times each side. If lunging is too hard, just do a small step forward and twist without dropping low. This integrates leg strength, hip mobility, and spinal rotation into one movement, mimicking real-world actions like picking something up while turning. 10th is arm raises with calf raises. You lift your arms overhead while rising up onto your toes, then lower everything back down, 8 times. This strengthens your calves, which are essential for walking and preventing falls, and it trains your balance in a dynamic way because your base of support shrinks when you're on your toes. 11th is deep breathing with arm sweeps. You inhale deeply while sweeping your arms out to the sides and up, then exhale while bringing them down. 4 times, slow and controlled. This isn't just a cool down. Deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which reduces inflammation and helps your joints recover from the previous movements. 12th is marching in place. You lift your knees high, alternating legs, pumping your arms in rhythm. 20 steps total. This gets your heart rate up just enough to improve circulation without stress, and the marching pattern reinforces the hip flexion you need for climbing stairs. 13th is a final full-body stretch. You reach your arms overhead, lift onto your toes, hold for a breath, then relax everything down and shake out your arms and legs. This signals to your nervous system that the movement session is complete and it's safe to return to normal activity. That's the full sequence. 13 movements, 5 minutes, every joint addressed. The beauty of Radio Taiso is that it's never about pushing to your limit. It's about consistent, gentle motion that teaches your body to move well again. And because it's the same sequence every day, your brain learns the pattern and you can do it almost automatically after a couple of weeks. Here's the daily protocol that makes it work. Do Radio Taiso every morning before breakfast, ideally at the same time. Mornings are best because your joints are stiffest after sleep, and this flushes them out before you ask them to do anything demanding. Wear comfortable clothes and stand on a non-slip surface. Keep a chair or countertop within arm's reach for balance exercises. Start with the easiest version of each movement and only progress when that version feels smooth and pain-free. If something hurts, skip that movement or reduce the range. Pain is your body saying stop, not push through. After your 5-minute session, drink a glass of water. The movement increases circulation, and your body needs hydration to flush out metabolic waste from your joints. In the first week, expect to feel a little soreness, especially in your shoulders and hips. That's normal. You're using ranges of motion you haven't touched in years. By week 2, the soreness fades and you'll notice you feel less stiff in the morning. By week 4, you'll see measurable changes in how easily you move through daily tasks. By 3 months, other people will notice. They'll ask if you've been doing physical therapy or if you lost weight, because you'll move with more confidence and less hesitation. Now let's talk about the 3 modifications based on your current mobility. If you have good balance and no significant joint pain, do the sequence exactly as I described. If you have moderate stiffness or balance concerns, use a chair for support during leg swings, lunges, and calf raises, and reduce the depth of your squats and bends by half. If you have severe arthritis, recent surgery, or significant balance problems, do the entire sequence seated in a sturdy chair. You can still do arm movements, torso twists, marching in place while seated, and modified leg lifts. Seated Radio Taiso is common in Japanese senior centers, and it still delivers joint mobility and proprioception benefits. The key is consistent movement through full available range, not achieving a specific position. Here's where most people go wrong, and this is critical. Mistake number 1 is doing the movements too fast or too forcefully. Radio Taiso is not aerobics. It's not about getting your heart rate up or sweating. It's about control and flow. If you're jerking your body around or using momentum to fling your arms, you're teaching your nervous system chaotic movement patterns and you're increasing injury risk. Every movement should feel smooth and deliberate, like you're moving underwater. If you can't control the motion, you're going too far or too fast. Slow down, reduce range, and let your body lead the pace. Mistake number 2 is skipping days. The research is clear. Radio Taiso works because of daily repetition. Your joints need that regular circulation, and your nervous system needs that repeated practice to rebuild proprioception. Doing it 3 times a week won't cut it. You'll see some benefit, but you'll miss the compounding effect that happens when your body gets the same movement input every single morning. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't skip days, and you don't do it harder on some days to make up for missed days. You just do it same time every day, and your body adapts. If you miss a morning because you're traveling or sick, just start again the next day. Don't try to do it twice in one day to catch up. Let me tell you about Robert, 67, a former electrician from Pennsylvania who had 2 knee replacements and was terrified of falling. His physical therapist gave him a standard exercise sheet, resistance bands, and leg lifts, but Robert found it boring and stopped after a few weeks. His daughter showed him a video of Japanese seniors doing radio taiso in a park, and he was amazed that people in their 80s were moving so smoothly. He started doing the seated version every morning while his coffee brewed. 3 weeks in, he realized he was standing up from his chair without using his arms to push. 2 months in, he was doing the full standing version with a countertop nearby for balance. 6 months later, he walked his daughter down the aisle at her wedding without a cane, something he'd told her wouldn't be possible. Robert's knees didn't get younger, and his replacements didn't change. But his brain relearned how to control his body, and his joints started moving the way they were designed to. Now here's the one surprising addition that Japanese seniors use to double the benefit. And this is the game changer most Westerners never hear about. After your 5-minute radio taiso session, spend 2 additional minutes doing shin and foot mobility. In Japan, this is called ashi no undo, foot exercises, and it's considered just as important as the main sequence because your feet and ankles are your foundation. If they're stiff or weak, everything above them compensates and you lose stability. Here's what you do. Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Lift just your toes, keeping your heels down, then press your toes back down. Do this 10 times. It strengthens the muscles in your shins that lift your foot, which prevents toe drag and tripping. Next, keep your toes on the floor and lift your heels as high as you can, then lower. 10 times. This works your calves and Achilles tendons. Now, lift your right foot off the floor and make circles with your ankle. 10 circles in one direction, 10 in the other. Switch feet. This mobilizes your ankle joint, which gets stiff from wearing shoes all day and limits your ability to walk on uneven ground. Finally, spread your toes as wide as you can, hold for a breath, then scrunch them tight. 10 times. This wakes up the small muscles in your feet that control balance. These 2 minutes of footwork integrate with radio taiso to give you mobile joints from your toes to your neck. Japanese research on fall prevention found that seniors who added foot exercises to their daily movement routine had significantly better balance, test scores, and fewer falls over a 1-year period, compared to those who only did upper and lower body exercises. Your feet have more nerve endings than almost any other part of your body, and when you move them deliberately, you're feeding your brain rich sensory information that sharpens proprioception even further. Here's the 7-minute morning protocol that combines everything. Wake up, drink a small glass of water, then do your 5-minute radio taiso sequence at a pace that feels smooth and controlled. Immediately after, sit down and do 2 minutes of foot and ankle mobility. That's it. 7 minutes total. You can do this in your pajamas in your living room before anyone else in the house is awake. You don't need equipment, you don't need to change clothes, and you don't need to leave home. It's the ultimate low-barrier, high-impact routine, and the fact that it's the same every day means you're not wasting mental energy deciding what to do. You just do it. One more piece of evidence. Japanese seniors have some of the highest healthy life expectancy numbers in the world. Healthy life expectancy means years lived without disability or dependence on others, and Japan consistently ranks at the top. While genetics and diet play roles, researchers studying Japanese lifestyle factors keep coming back to structured daily movement as a major contributor. Radio taiso is taught in schools, broadcast on public radio and television, and done in parks and community centers across the country. It's woven into the culture, and millions of people over 60 do it every single day. That kind of mass adherence doesn't happen unless something works. Western exercise culture often focuses on intensity, pushing harder, lifting heavier, running faster. Japanese movement culture focuses on consistency, moving well, maintaining range, and listening to your body. For people over 60, the Japanese approach wins every time because it's sustainable and it's safe. Let's talk about when you'll feel changes. In the first week, you're just learning the sequence and building the habit. Your body is waking up to ranges of motion it hasn't used in a while, so you might feel mildly sore or more aware of your joints. That's normal and it fades quickly. By the end of week 2, morning stiffness decreases noticeably. You'll get out of bed and realize your knees or back don't ache the way they used to. Week 3 is when movement quality improves. You'll reach for something on a high shelf and notice your shoulder moves smoothly. Or you'll bend to tie your shoe and realize it's easier. Week 4 brings confidence. You'll walk on uneven ground or navigate a crowded space and feel more stable. By month 3, the changes are obvious to others. Friends comment that you're standing taller or moving more easily, and you realize you're doing things you'd quietly stop doing, like gardening for an hour or playing on the floor with grandkids. The long-term benefit is that Radio Taiso doesn't just maintain your current mobility. It can actually improve it even after 60. Your joints respond to consistent movement by producing more synovial fluid. Your muscles respond by getting stronger and more coordinated, and your nervous system responds by sharpening proprioception. You're not fighting aging. You're giving your body the input it needs to adapt and stay functional. Here's a critical safety note. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, recent fractures, severe osteoporosis, or acute joint inflammation, talk to your doctor before starting any new movement routine. Radio Taiso is gentle, but it does take your joints through full range and raises your heart rate slightly. Most seniors can do it safely, but if you have active medical issues, get clearance first. If you've had joint replacement surgery, wait until your surgeon clears you for normal activity, then start with the seated version and progress slowly. If you have vertigo or inner ear problems, keep one hand on a stable surface during balance exercises and skip the calf raises until your balance improves. One more story. Helen, 78, a widow from Ohio who lived alone and was terrified of falling because a fall would mean losing her independence. She'd already given up hiking and stopped volunteering at her church because the building had stairs and she didn't trust her legs. Her son found a video of Japanese seniors doing Radio Taiso, and Helen was skeptical but agreed to try it for a month. She started with the seated version, doing it in her kitchen every morning at 7. 2 weeks in, she stood up to do the arm movements while keeping a chair nearby. 4 weeks in, she was doing the full standing sequence and she noticed she wasn't gripping the handrail on her stairs anymore. 3 months later, she signed up to volunteer again, and 6 months in, she took a weekend trip with her sister that included a gentle nature walk. Helen said the biggest change wasn't strength or flexibility. It was trust. She trusted her body to move the way she intended, and that trust erased the fear that had been shrinking her world. That's the real power of Radio Taiso. It's not flashy, and it won't make you look like an athlete, but it gives you back the one thing people over 60 lose without realizing it: trust in your own movement. When you can't trust your body to respond the way you want, you start avoiding activities, you move less, and the decline accelerates. When you rebuild that trust through daily practice, you move more, you take on challenges, and you stay independent longer. Here's the mindset shift that makes this sustainable. Stop thinking of movement as something you do to fix a problem and start thinking of it as something you do to honor your body. Radio Taiso isn't punishment for getting older, and it's not a desperate attempt to reverse aging. It's a daily practice that says I respect my body, and I'm giving it what it needs to function well. That shift turns exercise from a chore into a ritual, and rituals are easy to maintain because they're part of your identity. You become someone who does Radio Taiso every morning the same way you're someone who drinks coffee or reads the news. It's just what you do. If you want to go deeper, there are free videos online demonstrating Radio Taiso, some with English instructions and some with just the movements. Search for Radio Taiso Dai Ichi and watch a few versions to see the flow. You can also find illustrated guides that break down each movement with pictures. The Japanese National Broadcasting Company (NHK) has an official version that's used across the country, and watching Japanese seniors do it will show you the calm, controlled pace you're aiming for. Don't worry about mimicking every detail. The goal is to understand the sequence and adapt it to your body. One final practical tip. Pair Radio Taiso with something you already do every morning so it becomes automatic. If you drink coffee, do it right after you start the coffee maker. If you take morning medication, do it right before or after that. If you let the dog out, do it while you're waiting for the dog to come back in. Habit stacking like this removes the need for motivation or willpower. You're not deciding whether to do it. You're just following the pattern you've built. Now let's address the elephant in the room. You might be thinking 5 minutes can't possibly make a difference when you've been stiff for years, or when your doctor has told you that arthritis is progressive and there's no reversing it. Here's the truth. Radio Taiso won't cure arthritis or regrow cartilage, but it can dramatically change how your joints function within the limits of your condition. Arthritis means inflammation and cartilage breakdown, but movement is one of the best ways to manage both. Gentle daily motion reduces inflammatory chemicals, strengthens the muscles that support your joints, and keeps the remaining cartilage nourished. Plenty of people with arthritis live active, pain-free lives because they move well, and plenty of people with minimal arthritis are disabled because they don't move at all. The structure of your joint is only part of the equation. How you use it matters just as much. The same logic applies to balance and fall risk. You can't eliminate all risk of falling, but you can reduce it significantly by training your proprioception and strengthening your legs. Radio Taiso does both. Every time you shift weight, swing a leg, or rise on your toes, you're teaching your nervous system to react faster and coordinate better. That's the difference between catching yourself when you stumble and hitting the ground. Here's the bottom line. After 60, your body doesn't need intense exercise. It needs intelligent movement. It needs consistent input that maintains range, builds coordination, and keeps joints healthy. Radio Taiso delivers all three in a package that's simple, safe, and proven across generations. It's not about becoming an athlete or achieving perfect mobility. It's about staying functional, confident, and independent for as long as possible, and doing it in a way that respects your body's current abilities instead of fighting them. Japanese seniors have known this for nearly a century, and now you do too. The 5-minute sequence, the daily consistency, the focus on flow instead of force, the addition of foot mobility. It all works together to give you the movement foundation you need to keep living the life you want. You don't need to join a gym, hire a trainer, or buy equipment. You just need to stand up tomorrow morning and move through the sequence. Then do it again the next day and the next. Which part of this practice are you most excited to try? And what's one movement challenge you're hoping it helps with? Drop your answer in the comments and let's build a community of people who are taking their mobility seriously.